There we go. Sorry. What is going on, everybody? Welcome in. It's a long scroll. What is going on, everybody? Welcome in to the Celtics Talk Weekly All-Star Weekend Special. Guys, something new we're doing. I don't know if we did this last year. Did we do this last year?
Not the special. Wait, Franco, are you muted? We gotta
I
take
am.
care of
We did
early
something
day
of the
live
sort.
stream here. You gotta get all the kinks figured
Like,
out.
Vibes thrown
We
off. This is weird.
yeah, we're the
we did one
sun's
at the
still
end of
out
a
and we're
post game
streaming.
last
This
year,
is yeah.
Yeah.
We-
Yeah.
but not the special. The special
Not the
is
special.
it's what it is. It's special.
It's
It's
That's
special.
special.
what it
Yeah,
is.
there we go. So if you're new here, I'm your host, Robbie Tangelo, with my two co-hosts, Seamus Arlingo and Nick Franco. Guys, it's All-Star Weekend, and I feel like right now in the NBA, All-Star Weekend is like the most controversial, like hated or loved thing that the NBA does. I can't get a read on what the players think of it. But like before we dive into predictions and stuff, what are your guys' kind of overall opinions on All-Star Weekend? Like, is this something that the NBA needs to completely rework? Franco, I see you yawning. I don't know if that's a coincidence, but like,
It
where are
is.
you at?
Or no, it is a yawn. It's something that has been adjusted way too many times, and if it ain't broke, don't fix it. When it comes to the
Right.
All Star game, I'm a very big classic guy. I like the in Seamus's background, the Kobe 24 Western Conference All Star jersey. That's the type of All Star games that I miss. The East versus West, you're seeing the best players from each team come out. You're seeing star studded athletes play in the dunk contest. You're seeing the best shooters in the NBA competing to earn that title of best shooter in the NBA in the 3-point competition. And the skills challenge is one on one. That's what I miss. I'm kind of just going back on a nostalgic rant here, but like I miss the just seeing like a perfect example we were talking about before the show is a great Celtics moment that we saw was when Jason Tatum hit that half court shot over Trey Young during that
Right.
skills challenge a few years ago. And I thought that was a perfect format for it. One on one, who can complete the most passes, who can make the shots, and who can make the layups in time, and not all this fancy stuff, not emphasizing the Warriors for who are currently ranked within the bottom echelon of the Western Conference, and then you got Team Cavs, and you got Team Rookies, and then you got Team Spurs. It seems just very thrown together, and I don't know who's making the layout for the NBA tournament, but it's definitely not the fans.
Well, Franco, I'm gonna do you one better real quick. I missed the OG skills competition when it was like legend, current player, WNBA player. Do you guys remember that back when it was like you would see like, oh, that was
Wait,
the best, like Team
what year
Dominique.
would it be?
I don't know, but that was
That was the
awesome.
best too, because you had that like really like close up shot, and then if you just missed that
Yeah,
shot, you were just
into
automatically
the
like a
half.
bum
Ooh, that
player at
was
that point. You're just
right. That
getting
was
flamed.
perfect. Yeah.
But yeah, it's to me. Here we go. Here we go. Because All Star Weekend, the NBA. Who does the NBA have working for them that tells them what to do? Because All Star Weekend. Let me paint a picture of this. The ratings for the All Star Weekend are completely correlated with the ratings for the NBA schedule in general. The NBA struggles with ratings for All Star Weekend the way they struggle with ratings for the normal regular season. And the reason for that is household names who are actually in contention, it's rivalries, it's dynasties. Those are really the three main reasons for the NBA and their ratings being down at this moment in time. It's the lack of household star names, it is the rivalries, it's the teams, it's the dynasties. Right now, the NBA is at a lack of those particular things and items within the league. And for the All Star game, well, that correlates over to the All Star game because if you have all this going on in the regular season, people want to see the household names, they want to see the rivalries, they want to see, oh, this team with all their dynasty players in the All Star game. And the NBA thinks, oh, well, there's no competition in the All Star game. Therefore, we need to switch up all the formats and do something different with it. we've already talked on the skills challenge. The skills challenge, I don't know what's been going on the last couple of years. The team Cavs, the team Spurs, the team Warriors, the team rookies. I
What
mean,
team Wizards, for Christ's sake?
you look at those three teams, it's like they're giving those three teams a pass because of what happened last decade, going, oh, well, these three teams were in contention and they were the dynasties last decade. So therefore, Moses Moody and Draymond Green,
Yes,
truly
that's what
skillful
people are paying
players,
for.
need to be in the skills competition. And I really thought the skills contest was better 10 years ago or even 5 years ago, the
Any
way
year ago.
I mean, really, right now, the shooting through the windmill stuff and the really slow pace of it as well just makes no sense to me whatsoever. And it's not a traditional thing. They change it up all the time. I want to put a point of emphasis on that, but it's not a traditional thing. You have to really get something in order in terms of we're going to do it this way, and then just follow that order year after year. The NBA changes it up way too much and takes all the tradition out of it. Nobody knows what's happening with the skills challenge every year. 3-point contest is fine. I think that's actually the most interesting contest
Yeah.
that
Right.
people are looking at right now. If you even look at the names, we'll look at them in a little bit here, who are in the 3-point contest. It's some of the bigger names. We'll notice some all-star level players. The dunk contest, it's completely fallen off. I feel like we have a
Mac
great dunk
McClung show.
contest every 15 years. Right now, it's like we have to roll out Mac McClung from the G League to actually make it a good dunk contest every single year. But then outside of that, we'll see the participants. First of all, there's 4 of them. There used to be like 6. It might even be more players than that in the past. Now it's only 4. And those 4 players, it's a G Leaguer. It's a rookie in
Andre
Stephon
Jackson.
Castle. It's Andre Jackson Jr., a role player, a low-level role player on the Bucks. And then the 4th guy this year also, which I'm blanking on the 4th guy. I just had all 4
Matas.
guys.
That,
Yeah,
Matas
Buzelis,
Uzele,
exactly.
yeah, right.
Buzelis, another rookie out
he has
there. And I'm
0
not saying
points.
these guys are bad dunkers, but they're not really household names who people know whatsoever. They're low-level role players or they're rookies. They haven't made a name for themselves yet. And then the All-Star game. I mean, really the rising stars in the All-Star game. This is what gets me. The NBA, they're losing the casual fan. They're completely losing the casual fan. That's really the the issue with the ratings is they're losing the casual fan. If diehards don't even know what's happening with the All-Star game, with the Rising Stars game, if they don't understand the target score, if they don't understand the tournament, how the teams are picked, how the teams are arranged, why are the casual fans going to know anything about that? And it's ultimately about grabbing the casual fans. And what we're seeing right now is the NBA is arranging the All-Star weekend in a way that turns casuals off. It just does, because if casual fans have to go in and do their research about what's happening with All-Star weekend, and it's not just East West playing 12-minute quarters to a specific score, if it's not Rising Stars, 2 random teams playing to a specific score, they're going to be turned off. It's like the NBA Cup. We talked about this a while ago where the NBA Cup, yes, it's a great idea. It's a great idea for all-stars, or sorry, not all-stars, for diehards rather. It's the same ordeal for the All-Star weekend, is that if you have to do research to figure out like how to follow the competition, it's going to turn off casual fans. Casual fans don't understand the target score. Casual fans don't understand the team arrangements. Casual fans don't understand that this is a tournament or what's happening or why the Rising Stars are playing on Sunday with the All-Stars. It makes no sense. It makes absolutely no sense. It's not going to fix the ratings whatsoever for All-Star weekend. And I would say diehards, I mean, for me, I'm more of a traditionalist in the sense of I just give me the East and the West. Give me
Yeah.
the same format every single season. It's one game. It's on a Sunday. It's before President's Day. Just do the game the same every single time. The NBA tries to implement all these different, like, honestly, it's they try to implement things that come off of street ball or pickup ball where, oh, a couple of years ago was team LeBron, team Giannis, team Curry, team LeBron, and they're picking all-star teams, and then they go out there and play each other, and then now they're playing to a target score like we're playing to 21 or something. And that's ultimately not going to fix any problems because people see that stuff and go, especially the casual fans, they go, what's going on here? I can't follow this. I'm turning off my TV right now because I don't know what's going on. Diehards don't know what's going on. It's different every year all of a sudden. And what the NBA just needs to get back to is the traditional format of All-Star Weekend. Keep the same items every single year. and
Right.
really just put in players who ultimately people want to see. That's really the bottom line here. The players, the rivalries, players from, of course, the household name teams, the dynasties, which we don't have right now. Put those players in the All-Star game, get that situated in the regular season. You'll see the All-Star game ratings go up the way it will across the board for the regular season. 2016 was fantastic. 2015 was fantastic in terms of the All-Star weekend and the regular season at that. And really, the NBA has been trying to get to that point ever since, but it's not really something the NBA can culminate. It's a story that plays out in front of them. And I think we're only going to see those type of all-star weekends and seasons about every 15 years or so, or every there's once every decade that happens. And we're just kind of in a dead period of that in terms of the regular season. But the all-star weekend, just the NBA, I don't know who they have working for them, but please, NBA, just do it traditionally. There's no reason to go about this in a way where no one knows what's going on. The Rising Stars are playing on Sunday. We're doing a mini tournament. There's a target score. We have teams that make no sense whatsoever, and it's subjective arrangement. There's no reason for this, and I think you guys can understand my tone on this not being the most positive. I love All-Star Weekend, don't get me wrong, but the way it's being just arranged and thrown around is just miss me with it, NBA. Miss me with it. This is not the way to go. This is not the way to go.
Can I chime in real quick? I am actually looking at the NBA.com app trying to find out more information. You know it's bad when the NBA has a FAQ, guide and things to know, on their front page for All-Star Weekend.
It's bad, man. It's bad. I mean, like, my thing, I think the whole problem, I guess, with the All-Star game in particular is no one tries hard. The last time they tried hard was 2020 after Kobe Bryant passed away. And that All-Star game was amazing. Oh my God, it was amazing to watch. It was super, super fun. So that's really like the goal, right? The goal is, okay, how in the All-Star game, how do we get these players to try hard? The answer to that isn't to split them up into 3 groups with the Rising Stars group and assume, oh yeah, now that they're on different teams and there's a tournament, they're going to try hard. No, that's probably not going to happen. I think the best way to do it, East-West, first of all, classic, traditional, in the East-West All-Star jerseys, right? Boom. Fans care about that. They want to root for their players in their conference, right? When I'm watching Jason Tatum rooting for the East, right? That is what I want to do. And Jaylen Brown. And then I think they're missing the whole point. You want to make it competitive? Okay. Winning conference of the All-Star game, you guys get home court in the NBA Finals. Now you're going to have the best players on the best team that year, right? You're going to see guys like Donovan Mitchell, Jason Tatum, Karl Anthony Towns. On the flip side, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Nicole. They're going to be like, oh, okay, if we are in finals contention, we need this, right? And another thing, to the NBA players, right? To the ones who aren't trying hard. You are scared of injury, this and that. You play pickup all summer. You know how to play basketball without putting your body at risk of getting injured at a high level. You can compete, right? And still try on defense and still try on offense without putting your body in a position to get injured. So I think that's a load of BS from an NBA standpoint on the All-Star game. You guys are doing everything wrong. Adam Silver, I'm sorry, you're handling this terribly. You're not going about this on a how to make a competition to rise the competition level. So, and then in terms of the All-Star weekend, again, keep it classic. The dunk contest, Jaylen Brown tried to bring it back. His performance was so bad, and he got clowned online so bad that other stars are going to look at that and get pushed away from it. So from a fan standpoint, you guys kind of ruined that. Brown tried his best, and he showed exactly why stars don't want to do it, because if they fail, they're going to get clowned.
Let me add on to this too about the competition in the All-Star game specifically. I really, first of all, the home court advantage thing, me and Franco actually talked about this.
Have been rolling it.
We were kind of talking about how it's like, oh, I don't know. It's like, oh, say 2 teams make the NBA finals, like you have a 49 win team versus a 67 win team, and they get home court advantage because their conference randomly won the All-Star game, in which half the team is really paying attention to, half the team isn't. And then some of the lineups, like some of the lineups in the All-Star game, they're not thrown out there strategically. They're just thrown out there to get guys some minutes out there. it would be an interesting concept that could get guys to try, but I'm honestly always against doing the home court advantage on the All-Star game. I know that's like that's a legitimate way to get guys to try, but I see it as just way flawed if there's like two teams in the finals that are like 20 wins apart, and then it's like what they played the whole season as this unit just for the All-Stars to take over. But
Right.
in terms of the competition too, Franco and I discussed that the money wouldn't really do anything either. We talked about the money, like could the money
Yeah.
do something? But
No.
to all these guys making just bango bucks on their contracts, especially the all stars who are making almost all near super maxes or a
50
max at
million.
that. The little sniff of money, I mean, they would probably donate that right to charity right away as they got it. Maybe that could bring some motivation, but I don't
Ooh,
think so. But the
charity.
competition level, really, my main point is there were all-star games in the past that were seen as classic. There were all-star games in the past in which were viewed at a higher level than the all-star games now. And those all-star games, it's not as if, oh, the competition level was so, the competition level, it was just so high that everybody needed to tune in. Was no, like the competition level has always been the same in the all-star game. It's been guys going out there dunking a lot, taking just ridiculous three pointers from half court, from 30 plus feet out, that not really playing any defense whatsoever. It's been the same, non team basketball, just, oh, I'm going to throw an alley oop pass from half court. It's a lot of the same ordeal, whatever year you're looking at, whether it's in the 90s, the 2000s, the 2010s, even into the 2020s now. All of these decades, the competition level has been pretty much the same. And that 2020 All-Star game really does stick out in terms of guys competing. And that could be, it was the Kobe Bryant the tribute game.
Yeah.
But even there are players within the league that I think just have to be there in order to get guys up to play. I think LeBron is one of those players. In the past, Kobe Bryant was certainly one of those players who really got players up to play. And once you saw him exit the All-Star game, it was really up to LeBron to go and get players to play on his team. He was, of course, won a ton of All-Star games in a row when they were picking teams back and forth, and he was always the team captain because he was the fan leader in votes, or the leader in fan votes, of course. But the All-Star game, the competition level has generally been the same. Yeah, we've had different viewer counts from year after year, which suggests the competition level, that's one of their main flaws in terms of the NBA trying to fix All-Star weekend and their ratings. They're looking at the wrong thing. It's not really, oh, well, the competition level, oh, it was better in 2000 than it was in 2025. I mean, that's not really what's going on. It's been the same every single year. And it's just about the players and the stories involved
Right.
in the All-Star game. And it really links itself to the rest of the regular season. I mean, those two things are correlated and linked. If you're not getting ratings in the regular season, you're not going to get ratings in the All-Star game. Versus if you are getting ratings in the regular season, I think you're going to see an uptick in all-star ratings. So the competition, that's just one of the main flaws in terms of the NBA fixing the all-star weekend, is they're looking at the wrong thing. It's not really competition. It's been the same the whole time. It's about
Right.
everything else. And there's not much, in my opinion, there's really not much they can do in terms of the individual all-star game or the individual all-star weekend to make the ratings go up and down for the weekend. It has everything to do with the rest of the regular season. And that's why them just toying with everything, messing with everything, the league front office just messing with the format. I mean, it really just actually does them harm, more harm than good, because I mean, even the traditionalists of the game, the casuals are completely turned off by having to go to the frequently asked questions page. But even the traditionalists, the diehards, are completely turned off by it because we go and look at it and go, "What are we? This is not anything we know to ourselves. We
Right.
like to see East West. We like to see, honestly, the picking of the teams became kind of a traditional thing over time, and ultimately that could have been something that persisted. That really had nothing. I had no problems with that. Honestly, it was off tradition, but it started to become a tradition after a while, which is how traditions are built. But the NBA just toying with the entire format. It's really, really not good for themselves
Right.
whatsoever for both the casual and the diehard fan. And that's a huge issue, I think. It's like they try to fix it, but they're really doing something detrimental to their own game, which is unfortunate.
And
Right.
I think you're seeing it in almost every sport right now because we're I know we're all basketball over here, but you look at like the NFL turning into flag football, it become a lot less watchable. You look at the NHL. I think they have 4 nations going on instead of having the East and West conference. And I think MLB has been the only one that has still stuck to the roots of everything.
And that's the best
But
one. The home run
yeah,
derby is like that's classic, man. That's classic.
tune me in.
And big names do that. You see Vladdy, you see Aaron, like you see these big names do that.
Yeah, like MLB is probably the one that has been doing it right, just because of the fact of they have held it to the same tradition as it's been for the past 20, 50 years. And I think when you're starting to see like them start to toy around, because I think the 3 or 4 teams as all-star teams really makes things a lot weirder. Sure, you're giving these players a little bit more playing time during these games, diluting the rosters down from
dumb.
12 to 8 or 9 players, but it just doesn't make any much of a difference, because now, and if during the Rising Star Challenge, I wish that we had a pointer, because I'm about to pull up the first graphic we made. There was a chance that J.D. Davidson could be matched up against LeBron James in the All-Star tournament on Sunday.
You're right.
So it once we get our merch going, it's going to be the first shirt on our website. It's going to be our mind-boggling T-shirt, and that's exactly what the All-Star game is.
Mind-boggling CTW logo right underneath.
I also think there, just before we hop into the Rising Stars, I just want to say this. You make a good point with the home run derby in the MLB. Like, players want to get up and win that trophy, right? There's kind of like an aura to winning the home run derby. You get the trophy, you're viewed as the big, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you see guys like Pete Alonso, Julio Rodriguez, Vladimir Guerrero. These are guys that step up to the plate, big name stars, young stars who want to be the home run derby champion. They're like, yeah, I want that. It gets competitive. You see guys take it serious. Yes, they're having fun, but again, at the end of the day, they want to win. There used to be that in the NBA with especially the slam dunk contest. Like, you get up, you saw guys back in the 80s, you saw Dominique, you see Dr. J, you see Michael, right? They're doing it. In the 90s, you saw the emergence of Vince Carter and Tracy McGrady, and they kind of elevated it. You saw Jason Richardson, they're doing it. And then you got guys in the 2000s that were like, you got Dwight and Nate, and these guys were big names, and they're Blake Griffin and right, Aaron Gordon. And these are guys that were like, they're dunked,
Zach
right?
Levine.
Zach, I mean, they showed up for it, right? They showed up, and I don't know if you can pinpoint it to LeBron never doing it and the idea that stars don't do it. Personally, I think I don't know. But like, again, I think the whole point is if you're in the NBA, you gotta go back to your roots. Enough with this. It's stupid and it's dumb. It's just like the play-in tournament in the in-season tournament. It's just kind of stupid and dumb. And it looks like you're just throwing it, right? You're sitting at a office table and you're throwing ideas out, and someone is eventually like, okay, we should try that. So I think, again, what the fans want to see are classic stars competing for something, and that's just not what they have. But guys, last night we saw the Rising Stars challenge. Now let's just take a look at these teams. Yes, this event has passed. We're still going to talk about it. So on Team T, you saw Anthony Black, Tristan Da Silva, Grady Dick, Jaime Jaquez, Brandon Podjenski, Zachary Richaussé, Alexander Sarr, and then Kaysen Wallace. I don't think he played. I believe he was injured. Team M, you saw Mataz Buzelli. I don't know how to pronounce Termin Kamara, Bub Carrington, Bilal Koulibaly, Scoot Henderson, excuse me. Yessi Messi. I don't know, man.
Messi.
It's the Rising Stars. It's tough.
Right. Azor and Amin Thompson. And then Team C, Stephon Castle, Ryan Dunn, Zach Edey, Keontae George, Tyrese Jackson Davis, Dalton Connect, and then Jalen Wells. And then on Team G League, obviously our own JD Davidson, Mac McClung, Bryce McGoverns, Leonard Miller. I can't read the last one. Reed Shepard. Reed Shepard's on the G League team. That's interesting. He was a high draft pick. So obviously Team C, they walked away with the win. I don't want to toot my own horn. I looked at the rosters last night after Seamus texted and asked for our predictions. I was all over Team C. Give me that. I saw Stephon Castle. Give me that. Guys, so, the Rising Stars, this is something that, I personally didn't watch it. I think the last time I watched it, well, I watched it last year, I want to say, when Wembanyama was around. I think that's kind of what fans look for. However, where were you guys at? Who'd you guys pick? I know it's already happened, but
I took Team Hardaway just because I thought that the young rookies, Ricochet and Star, were going to be able to put on their performance, and I think that would have been what's best for the NBA is if you got to see those guys playing at their full potential, proving their worth as the number one, number two draft picks in this year's draft. But because I think there's been a very big overshadowing of this year's draft class, and you kind of don't really see the importance of rookies in the NBA anymore until their second, third season, until they've gotten that development under them. But I'm used to, I miss when like rookies would have this big rookie season debut. You would know who the hot upcoming player is in the NBA. Obviously, you see the Thompson twins who are starting to become some notable players and whatnot, but I, it's just a very weird outlook, and I think we don't really have much to comment on it when it comes to the Celtics. Obviously, it's great to see JD Davison getting the recognition in the All Star Conference to promote the G League. It's that it's just kind of weird to me that it kind of seems very pieced together. And one thing I'll notice is when Rob was couldn't even pronounce some of the players' names. That's kind of a problem for the NBA. If you have rising stars in the league and you have people who are de- dedicated to following the NBA, learning all the NBA players, figuring out who's going to be up next, and you don't really even have their names on promoted enough to a fact where I've even heard their names pronounced over an NBA broadcast is kind of embarrassing for the NBA because it's just a lack of poor promotion, being able to bring up the rising stars, being able to showcase them in a proper format, but and also them being able to match up against the All Star team on Sunday is kind of BS to me because there's players that were snubbed from the All Star tournament. If they're going to do this three multiple team instead of two team layout for the All Star weekend and for the All Star game, I think they should expand the rosters of the East and West and allow more players to get in. I think having 15 players from each conference would be amazing for the NBA, and then you can also build for rosters based off of that. But it's
See, I'm on the opposite of you. I would say like make it more prestigious to get into the All-Star game, cut it down to 10 each and run 4 teams of 5 that play, and those guys are just playing, like that's how I would view it. I'd be like, okay, like, you want to make this thing be a little bit more special. Okay, make it harder to get into the All-Star game, right? Oh, sorry, only 10 guys each conference. There are more guys getting snubbed. It's more like, prestigious to get in. But I know that's a little off topic, but I don't know. That's how I would see it.
Oh, wait.
I think.
Go ahead, Franco.
I was just gonna wrap up, but I think that's just I think having as many All Stars as possible, especially if you're trying to expand the game, will allow for the smaller market teams to be able to have their All Star be available. I've always seen it as a rule of thumb that I always thought the NBA should implement is have one person from at least each organization represented at one event. I think like having the NBA should be able to have like, let's say, I'm trying to think of snubs that happened from the All Star game, but
Trae Young,
or let's think like if there was a Jazz player in the All Star tournament, I would find like a Keontae George or a Colin Sexton or a Laurie Markkinen, throw them in the skills challenge just so every team has a representative there.
I will say to that, the only team who literally does not deserve a representative whatsoever, it's the Washington Wizards. I don't know who. I don't know who
Malcolm
off the
Brogdon
Washington
should be
Wizards.
there.
What Malcolm Brogdon you throw in there, or like I don't Jordan Poole. Like I don't know about the Washington Wizards having a representative anywhere at All Star Weekend if they can't even show up during the regular season. But beside the point of the entirety of All Star Weekend, in terms of the Rising Stars, I'm a little remorse here to say that I took Team M, who lost to the G League squad last night. Actually, it was the most interesting game of the entire Rising Stars tournament, so I'm a little bit happy about that. But lost to the G League squad on just a crazy game-winning three. It was 39-37 at the end, and Team M actually had the advantage, but then three-pointer goes in for the G League squad, and the G League squad advances to the finals, which was a bit surprising, a bit shocking, but you do have to remember that the G League team, they're actually going out there to play because they want to actually make the league, and that's kind of one of their spotlight moments of I'm in front of an NBA crowd right now. I'm not in front of just an empty gym in the G League at this moment in time. I'm in front of an NBA crowd. I'm going to go out here and actually compete. And of course, JD Davison, our very own Maine Celtic, was on that G League team last night. But I was really feeling Team M. I had Julian Strother. We got Amin Thompson out there. I mean, Team M. It looked like they had a lot of good cutters, a couple of good ball handlers. But I think it's funny because everybody. I think it's your pick, Rob. Everybody kind of looked at that team and immediately focused in on Stephon Castle and went, "Oh, ooh, they have Stephon Castle out there."
Right.
And he, of course, walks away with the Rising Stars MVP last night. And he'll be on. He'll be playing on Sunday. Maybe Stephon Castle will be playing for real on Sunday in the future. But this year, he'll be a Rising Star on Sunday. And kind of to go off of Franco's point for a second is the fact of the Rising Stars playing on Sunday. I'm sorry,
Stop.
no, the All Star game is meant for the All Stars. All right, you play the full 82 game season, or really the All Star game, you play half the season, really. And that game, that moment is for the All Stars. In no world should we have the All Stars playing against the Rising Stars, some of which will bring up in the past the Rising Stars. They've been rising stars who really didn't turn into stars whatsoever. I mean, we've seen rising stars out there that have literally not amounted to anything in the NBA besides 3 seasons, 4 seasons in the NBA. Some guys turn into legitimate household names later on in time, but a majority, I shouldn't say majority, but maybe half of the rising stars won't actually be stars in this league, yet they're going to play on Sunday. These young guys are going to play on Sunday against the All Stars, who, to me, it should be what's great about the All Star game is just seeing star players go up against each other and all the talent out there go up against each other. The rising stars, I mean, come on. These guys, we don't want to see these guys play the All Stars. And what's really getting me here is the fact that you could have a scenario. I mean, really, we're going to see the scenario, actually, regardless of what happens. We're going to see. So, what Team Kenny and Team Chuck face off, and then Team Shaq, I think, faces off with the Rising Stars team. Well, the All Stars on Team Shaq, which are the OG All Stars, right? They could not be playing the global all stars at all, or they could not be playing the young all stars, right? So essentially, we're creating a scenario where either the young or global all stars, which again doesn't really make any sense the way it's arranged. Those one of those two teams will not be playing the OG all stars. I mean, that's really what we're seeing. So we can see Brown and Tatum. They might not go up against Carl Anthony Towns or Donovan Mitchell or Nikola Jokic on the global team. They might not go up against the other young All Star team with all the players on the young All Stars. And ultimately, that's just to me a travesty to the point where that's where you need to just be a traditionalist in terms of the NBA going out there and throwing out the traditional format of East versus West, or even picking teams. I'm fine with the picking of teams. That was fine. That the way they did that, it was becoming a tradition at the very least. But this little mini tournament, it now sets up the scenario where one team is going to play the Rising Stars, and then they're going to meet a team who just beat another team that they're not even going to see. So we're going to see
Right.
two all-star squads not even face off against each other. And what's going to be horrible is if the Rising Stars beat that all-star team, Team Shaq, which we'll see the schedule a little bit later here. that Rising Stars team will be in the final against an All-Star team, and that's not what anybody wants to see. They don't want to see Rising Stars versus the All-Stars in the final. And if the Rising Stars win, I mean, what are we doing? I mean,
The NBA.
winning the All-Star game really
Would be
doesn't matter.
embarrassing.
But that's where, again, why are the Rising Stars in the All-Star tournament or the game? It's like this is a pageantry event for the All-Stars to go against each other, and we're throwing the Rising Stars out there. It just
Right.
it's absolutely ridiculous.
It's
It
lazy.
shouldn't happen. I mean, it's a ludicrous idea. And Rob, I completely agree with you that it 100% sounds like everybody's just sitting in an office somewhere in New York in a high rise, going, you know what? Who's got an
The
idea?
G
here?
League, please.
It's like, all right, how about we do the
Yeah.
G League? How about we do the Rising Stars on Sunday? How about we just put teams in the skills challenge and just we'll do windmill stuff and just have them. We won't even have them race. We're gonna time them. We're gonna I'm getting back onto the point of earlier, but it's just all ridiculous. I mean, the All-Star game should be for the All-Stars, and I don't want to see the Rising Stars out there. And no, I swear it's not because my Rising Stars team completely faltered against the G League team last night. It was a bit rough.
Yeah, no, I mean, I picked Team C, I believe. And you know, I'm with you guys. I think it's dumb. As for the Rising Stars game itself, I love the Rising Stars game. I think it's honestly like if you want to watch like really competitive, fun basketball on All-Star Weekend, that's probably where you should tune in on. I watched it last night for a brief stint, not a lot. And I enjoyed it. I always enjoy it. But like, yeah, I mean, on the topic of what are we doing, NBA? That's so bad. And again, it's like, here we are, right? A good I'd say overall, I watched overall the Rising Stars game last night was a success. It was a win, right? Awesome. Great. You had guys trying. It was entertaining, this and that. It's overshadowed now by the fact that fans are like, why the hell are they playing on Sunday? Right? It's like, why are we like, it just ruins it. It's lazy. It's bad. I'm so against it. And do you want to talk about tradition? The Rising Stars game, man, who remembers Tim Hardaway Jr. and Deion Waiters going back and forth and back, or when Kyrie Irving dropped Brandon Knight? Those are Rising Stars games. So it's like, again, you want to stop with the tournament. Stop with it, right? Sophomores versus freshmen, right? Like, do it. It's what are we doing, NBA? Right? Like, exactly. Like, what are we doing? Enough with the tournaments. I get you're doing it in the wrong areas. And the Rising Stars Challenge, I'm sorry. I mean, I'd love to. I gave you my prediction, but I'm going to bash on it. It's just bad and lazy. And no one you look at all the best moments. Right, it is when we got simple. It's true. It's classic. The product's just good, and that's what the NBA doesn't realize. It's all about the product, right? And you're not focusing on the product. You're focusing on the glitz and the glam and the tournaments and look at this. You want March Madness single elimination? People love that. Oh, let's put it in the All-Star game. Let's put it in the in-season tournament. Enough. It's lazy. It's getting ridiculous, and it was ridiculous.
Also, people love March Madness because it's 68 teams, 64 teams when it's really all going at once, and there's 32 games in the first round, and they're played throughout a 2-game or a 2-day stretch, right? There's 30, so there's 16 games and 16 games. They're all going on at the same time, and there's upsets happening across the board, and there's craziness. And the NBA, the problem with them implementing single elimination tournaments into their formats, right? Whether it's the NBA Cup, whether it's the All-Star Weekend, there's not enough games, and there's not enough, to me, hype behind the teams or care behind the teams within the tournament to create that same atmosphere that March Madness creates. March Madness is unique in the sense of there are so many teams. There are so many teams from a vast array of conferences and just records, and just you have some of the top teams in the nation like Duke, North Carolina, Kansas, all of them, the Blue Bloods, Kentucky, of course. And then you have all these small schools who make it out of these small conferences. You have them matched up together. You have upsets all over the place. All of the teams are playing
the last second
once.
hurrahs with the fouls. It's just like
and the Cinderella stories, and also just the characters, honestly, who come out. Like last year, Jack Golke out of nowhere, DJ Burns, Eddie Lampkin, all the players in which people don't know about throughout the regular season, but then all of a sudden in the tournament, like, who is this guy? Who's shooting for Oakland out here? Who's shooting every shot for Oakland? And there's not enough hype in terms of 2 games in a tournament, or that's basically what the NBA Cup plays. What, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 games? 7 games in their tournament, single elimination. That's not enough. That's not really, there's not enough games, and those 7 games are spaced out throughout what, like 2 or 3 weeks, honestly, in the tournament, or I should say, yeah, they're about 2 weeks, and honestly, that really doesn't create enough hype around that situation or the same atmosphere as March Madness, and the stakes are not as high. It's not a vast array of conferences and teams and records playing against each other in talent, I will say, as well. It's, oh, the Oklahoma City Thunder are meeting the Bucks in a single elimination game in the NBA Cup, or right now the All-Star teams are meeting in a single elimination game. That's where I think the NBA, they must have a bunch of idiots working for them in their front office, because
Oh, it's so
ultimately
bad.
they're
It's so
going,
bad.
oh, these guys are hired, they're data analysts from these prestigious universities. They're going, you know what's really working? It's the March Madness single elimination. It's like, not the same atmosphere, not the same setting. It's not going to work. I mean, when you have 4, 5, 6, 7 games out there, and it's not this, there's not the same, there aren't the same stakes. The teams are not as vastly different. The March Madness breeds a unique environment, and ultimately, single elimination alone is not what makes March Madness March Madness. It's a part of March Madness, but there's so many other factors. There's a bunch of teams. There's teams from all over the place. There's the characters that are formed. The NBA, when they go into All-Star Weekend, when they go into the NBA Cup tournament, there's no correlation in the, oh, we're now doing single elimination. People love this. People love this. No, I think the NBA, there are a lot of fans. We talked about this on the NBA Cup special. We love 7 game series, actually. That's where we really thrive in at the end of the year. We go, well, this is professional basketball. They play each other 7 games, or however many games are in the series, and they go and strategically take each other out throughout a tournament, and it's not just single elimination. Oh, okay, well, we're done after 1 game, after playing an 82 game season, or however long the schedule is. And that's also what's being missed here by the NBA, and it feels like this special is turning into just an all-star rant about what the NBA is doing wrong on
Right.
All-Star
All-Star
Weekend.
Weekend,
But
not so
that's
special.
that
also,
single
like,
elimination
No,
aspect
I
is
know.
just terrible. It's not. It has nothing to do with the ratings. Has nothing to do with it being good or bad. Nothing.
Before we
It's
go to the
terrible.
skills, challenge, I do want to say something on this too. March Madness is special in its own way. The NBA is special in its own way.
Right.
The skill gaps on March Madness are like, okay, this is probably like the best player on like the 4th seed in Virginia, and like the best player on like, it's like they're close, right? You look at the talent, like it's close. That's why you see these crazy runs. It's different. You see the double bonus, and it's just different games. Honestly, college basketball and NBA aren't the same game. Stop trying to make the NBA something it's not. The NBA is different. The competition is better. The talent is better. They play 7 game series. Want to know why? Because it's better. It's more exhausting. It's tougher. Stop it. Stop with these single eliminations. It's not what people want to see. It's not what people want to see. God, it's so annoying. And
Especially when it's 3 games. It's like, 3 games elimination. It's like 3 games. Like, who cares? Who cares about 3 games? For real.
Yeah, no, I know. And look, let's take a look at the skills challenge here. This is another tournament, but again, the skills challenge has always been a tournament. So, actually, it hasn't, but it was used to be a single. Back in, I want to say like 2006 to 2015, if I'm not mistaken, 2016. It was single. It was an individual challenge, but this year you got 4 teams. A little weird, a little funky. Obviously, you have the traditional now home team getting their team, the home arena. That is Team Warriors, led by Draymond Green and Moses Moody. And then you got like Team Rooks, which is also, we've seen that in the past by the pick 1 and 2, Zachary Richosset and Alex Sarr. And then you got these 2 random throw-ins. Team Spurs, you got Chris Paul and Victor Wembanyama. And Team Cavs, led by Donovan Mitchell and Evan Mobley, the 2 all-stars. Guys, now, this one, in my opinion, for predictions, I have to go with Team Chris Paul and Victor Wembanyama. They are my pick. I think you're going to see Victor try. And then you got Chris Paul. I mean, he's one of the best playmaking guards of all time. And I think a lot of what what the skills challenge is who's going to try. If you guys remember last year, Anthony Edwards was going in there shooting left-handed. I think Wemby and Paul, I think they come out and try. And I think that's something they're going to want to win.
I think I took Team Cavs just to do the fact that there's probably Donovan Mitchell and Evan Mobley have played together for the longest congruent amount of time and also are probably the most talented players on this lineup for the Rising Stars Challenge. I think Chris Paul and Wemby might make a good case, and I think that they could. I don't even know what the outlook is for the skills challenge, what they're going to be competing in. I don't know if it's the same drills and games that we've been accustomed to seeing over the past couple of years. So I'm very interested to see what this team aspect looks like for it. And I just really am not sure what the Warriors, Cavs, Spurs idea was behind it. Obviously, they're teams that have had success in the past. However, other than the Cavs, who are still the number one seed in the East, uh, these teams aren't really going to be in the final rounds and going to be making a long stretch, not going to be competing for an NBA final. So it's kind of confusing to me why they would choose those teams. Obviously, they probably might have they're probably going off of NBA.com's jersey sales when they made these teams, just due to the fact that everyone finding Wembanyama and everyone from 20 who started following the NBA in 2015 became a Golden State Warriors bandwagon fan. Everyone went through that phase in 7th or 8th grade, but I think that it's just a very thrown together ordeal, and I think it should be a lot more articulated when they're putting together these teams of who the fans really want to see compete in these types of ordeals. But I think that Donovan Mitchell has a lot to prove, and like I said earlier, him and Evan Mobley have played together for a long time, so I feel like they could walk away with this.
I think the most unpopular pick in this skills challenge, which is not my pick, I'm going to disclaim this, although this could seem stupid later. Who knows? Always does with these predictions, All-Star Weekend. Team Warriors seems probably like the most unpopular pick. Draymond Green and Moses Moody. I'm just not really sure what the idea of the pairing was there. And I'm a little confused as to why this is, again, it's called the skills challenge. Skills, players with skills. I'm not saying, if you're in the NBA, you definitely have some basketball skill, but Draymond Green, a running joke is in his entire NBA career is the fact that he actually lacks basketball skill, tangible basketball skill, other than passing the ball and having a high IQ. Outside of that, it's like dribbling, shooting. Draymond Green, he's more of a defensive-oriented player who really passes the ball well. So him and Moses Moody, another player who just fluctuating playing time on the Golden State Warriors. Steve Kerr, does he trust him? Does he not? Who knows? And I'm not feeling Team Warriors. I don't think anybody else is either. The rookies, my philosophy with the rookies every single year is, okay, are they going to try harder than everybody else because they're rookies? They're out there, they're trying to prove themselves. They're actually, if you look at everybody on the floor for the skills challenge, they have the lesser of the payday out of anybody. So they have more to play for than anybody. Although, of course, this doesn't really dictate pay in the NBA, but anytime you get a chance to show your skill level out there in the skills challenge, there's maybe a little bit heightened of a sense of going out there and competing when you're not paid, like the rookies are right now. But that leaves me with the Spurs and the Cavs. And I'm honestly torn on this because you guys make both great points on these two squads for the skills challenge. Team Spurs, they have Chris Paul, who's just the ultimate competitor, and Wembanyama out there. And I'm really not down with the team aspect. I want to see the individual players play in the skills challenge, but the team aspect does make it a little bit interesting from the standpoint of, are these teams ultimately because they're in the locker room together all the time, they play together all the time. Do they kind of have a little bit of a chemistry or a little bit of a preconceived motivation to go out and play? They know, oh, we're playing in this. We've talked about this literally last week. Like, let's go out and do this and actually go out there and win. I am leaning towards, I'm still torn on this. I'm leaning towards Team Cavs because I believe Donovan Mitchell, he's almost as competitive as Chris Paul. I think Evan Mobley, this is where you're really, it's like you're thinking about it. You're like, is Evan Mobley, if he has to shoot the ball from long range, is he going to be able to make a shot? Like, is that going to actually be able to happen? But you also do notice with some of these teams, except for the rookie, I should say the 3 out of the 4 teams, except for the rookie team, you have a big man and a guard playing, a big man and a guard. That's pretty interesting with this skills challenge format. But I'm going to go with Team Cavs because I think they've been motivated all season long. I think Donovan Mitchell and Evan Mobley, they want to come in and win this particular challenge. I think Donovan Mitchell's competitive enough to do it. I think Evan Mobley is competitive enough to do it. And I think Evan Mobley, I think he's kind of on this tear of proving himself in the NBA still because Evan Mobley, he came out as a Rookie of the Year candidate his first year out in the league. And it was Evan Mobley, it was Cade Cunningham, it was Scotty Barnes. And Evan Mobley, ultimately, from that point in his rookie season, kind of just leveled off within his NBA career. And he was a player that people talked about like, I guess he's really not going to reach his potential. But this year, he makes the All-Star team. I, of course, had a couple of riffs with it, knowing Porzingis, our guy Kristaps Porzingis. We're going to mention him on the All-Star Weekend special because Kristaps Porzingis should have made last year's All-Star team if the NBA was going to pick guys off of record. Last year, they picked Scotty Barnes over Kristaps Porzingis. I believe it was a replacement pick. But ultimately, this year, they go, well, Evan Mobley has to be in there because the Cavs record. Evan Mobley has to be in the All-Star game. But regardless of that, we're going to touch on the Porzingis versus Evan Mobley conversation. I think Evan Mobley making the All-Star team this year, this season, this tournament, unfortunately not game, this tournament, I think he has a lot to prove at this All-Star weekend still. I know it's not the regular season, and that's where the bulk of the proving oneself and even into the playoffs, that's where that comes. But even when you get a chance to prove yourself in any setting, I think this is really where you do it because you're still in front of a pretty large crowd. So I'm going to say Evan Mobley and Donovan Mitchell, they're going to have a lot of motivation in this skills challenge, which, of course, later on in time may look stupid when Donovan Mitchell does the same thing as Anthony Edwards last year and he just shoots left-handed, or Evan Mobley goes through and can't make a shot, or Donovan Mitchell just see. And Franco mentioned this too. I don't even know what the format is for this skills challenge this year. I have no idea what they're even doing. They're shooting through the windmills. Are they making passes? Are they racing each other? Are they being
because
timed?
it used to
I don't
be
even know
3
what's
guys.
happening.
Now it's 2. It used to be 3. Now it's 2. It's weird. It's weird.
The 3-man teams were terrible. I picked the Giannis, the Antetokounmpos that year, and that was just. I'm sorry for picking Thanasis because that was just a pure mistake. I mean, I'm sorry. Thanasis should have never been in the skills competition. And they, of course,
the other
had their
brother's name?
Brother Kostas in there. I was like, what's going on here?
This is definitely the hardest one to pick. I think the most interesting one, it's honestly probably like the main event at this point, is the 3-point contest, guys. This one is, first of all, Peyton Pritchard, you got snubbed. I don't know if they asked him. I saw he was asked about it. I didn't watch the whole interview. You got some good shooters competing this year. Obviously, the classic Damian Lillard is going to be there alongside Norman Powell. Guys, Norman Powell's averaging 24 points per game this year. Talk about an all-star snub. Tyler Hero, he's an all-star. Buddy Hield, Cam Johnson, Darius Garland, Cade Cunningham. Jalen Brunson's in there. I thought it was a little weird. I didn't necessarily think of Jalen Brunson as a 3-point shooter alongside Cade Cunningham. But they're in there. They're there. They're big names. I'm all for it. That's fine. Guys, now this one I'm gonna leave up for a little bit. I'm gonna think about this one. This one is gonna be good because obviously you have Damian Lillard, right? Who he shows up he wants to win this thing every year. I believe he won it last year, if I'm not mistaken, or the year before that. So this one, if Trae Young's my go-to guy, anytime Trae Young's in, I'm like, okay, Trae Young's gonna win. He's not in there this year, so I'm having a tough time kind of picking. But for me, I gotta go. I think I have to go with Buddy Hield. He's the hometown guy. He's a sharpshooter. Yeah, I think he's gonna want it. And if the hometown factor is just big for me here, I think Dame could easily come out, be a flamethrower like he normally is, and walk away with this. I like Tyler Hero in this as well. But I gotta go, Buddy. I don't think Buddy's ever won one, and he's too good of a shooter. I think if he gets hot, he can hit the long range too. I'm gonna go Buddy. I think I feel comfortable with Buddy.
I would probably have to. I feel like my prediction is gonna. I think it's gonna be someone who's not going to be expected. I think that it's gonna be like a Norman Powell or someone who's really trying to make a name for themselves during this competition this year. This list is. I feel like there's a lot of players who are a lot more poised for this competition, and a lot of people who are kind of trained for this position. There's obviously a difference in 3-point shooting compared from in game to in a 3-point shooting contest. So obviously, two different ball games when it comes down to it. I think that Buddy Hield will make a good push for it. I think that this is one of his uh, competitions that he is much more well suited for. Cade Cunningham, I want to continue to ride his narrative throughout this season. I think that he has really made a name for himself going through this year, being on the Detroit Pistons, who a lot of teams have counted out over just due to the history that the Detroit Pistons have. They've really rebuilt themselves, really have created a better team, putting veterans around him, being able to bring in the rookies and having them finally develop into the players that they've wanted to become. I think this is a great opportunity for the Cade Cunningham to get some limelight and be able to shine on the big stage.
Cade,
So I'm taking the biggest underdog. I have the
you're taking Cade?
I have the he's at 1,400 betting line. Plus 1,400.
I'm sorry. I think he is gonna get. Oh no. But hey, I can respect the underdog pick. I think Cade's gonna put up a stinker. I mean, he's got. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see.
It's so hard to say this.
No disrespect to Cade. No disrespect.
It's so hard to say this during All-Star Weekend because we've seen the underdogs in the past come up with the wins because how these odds are priced. It's like this is a one-time event once a year, and it's so hard to price those things. But I will go off a point that Franco made is that some guys are more built for this type of competition than others. See, guys are more spot up shooters than say, off the dribble shooters. They are more catch and shoot guys. And I think that I in this tournament, in this particular contest, I shouldn't say we should get off tournaments because this one not quite a tournament here. Finally have a normal traditional contest that we're talking about. This contest, I think, just brings out the best in the most pure shooters. So the three guys that I look at are ultimately Cam Johnson, I look at Damian Lillard, and I'm looking at Buddy Hield. Those are the three guys I'm really looking at. And my mind just keeps coming back on Damian Lillard because I think if we look at the entire contest, I really do believe Damian Lillard, he's put up the most 3-point shots or most shots out of any of these players in his entire career, his entire basketball tenure as a player, whether, that's coming in college or I'm not even talking about in game. I'm just talking about in the gym, being in the gym, shooting the basketball. I think Damian Lillard, his work ethic is really unmatched, especially from a shooting perspective. I was a little torn on Cam Johnson or Buddy Hield. I actually think Buddy Hield, he might have won one. I think he won the 2020 3-point contest.
Okay.
So I remember that one. It was like it came down to like the final ball. It was like, if he makes this or misses this, he's gonna lose or win. But so Buddy Hield definitely has a history there. But I would have to go with Damian Lillard because Damian Lillard to me is just a straight killer. He is somebody that I believe just has taken the most shots in the gym out of all these guys, which is crazy to say because these are all great 3-point shooters. But I really do believe Damian Lillard, he's the most crafted shooter out of anybody in this competition. I do believe those three players that I mentioned at the top, they're actually more built for this contest than, say, somebody like Cade Cunningham or Jalen Brunson, where to me, their shooting comes a lot more off the dribble, comes more in situations where, like, this is actually, I will say, it's a different shooting situation than any in-game shooting situation because they're grabbing a ball off the rack and then shooting it. That's why I think it just breeds the best pure shooters where you can, if you're just a pure shooter, it doesn't matter how you're, if you're catching it, you're spotting up off the dribble, whatever you're doing, you should just be able to shoot the ball, which I believe some players, when they enter this contest, they sometimes, if they're not the best pure shooters and they're more used to, shooting off the catch or shooting off the dribble, one or the other, it kind of messes with their rhythm, messes with their flow, messes with their jump shot in this contest. So I'm just going to go with the purest of the shooters here, and I'm going to go with Damian Lillard. But it's always a hard one to pick the 3-point contest because there are always so many good candidates, and there are always those. I always believe there's at least 3 or 4 just absolute pure shooters at the top, and then the rest are kind of the Jalen Brunsons, the Cade Cunninghams, the Tyler Hero. I would even say he's more of an off the dribble shooter. At that, so it's like, those guys I'm more looking at going, okay, they're great 3-point shooters, but I don't know if they have the style of jump shot. I shouldn't say style of jump shot, but just the way they shoot the ball in game. I'm not quite certain they have the entire skill repertoire to win this contest. But like I said in the past, we have seen underdogs come out with the win in these competitions. But most of the time, we see some of the best shooters, pure shooters, come out with the win. So that's why I'm going with Mr. Damian Lillard. Give me what? They win last year, so what? Two-time champion, LA two-time champion. I think he wants to win again.
A lot of this is also like who's hot, who gets hot. Because like again, these guys are all high volume shooters. Cade could get hot. Darius Garland could get hot. They could go on a run. But for me, I think you got to roll with I agree, Seamus, with the top of just like you look at the style of shots they're taking, a majority of them. Majority of these shots, I guess Dame is a little different. Dame's an off the dribble shooter, but he's also just a pure shooter where you've seen him in this contest before. So it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see. The slam dunk contest. Now I'm going to try my best. I'm going to try my best not to spend this whole time bashing this, but let's take a look at the participants. Mac McClung makes his random appearance yet again, his annual appearance at this point. It's his third straight time. He's won the past 2. We saw him beat Jaylen Brown in the finals last year. Andre Jackson Jr., who is a swing player. He plays off the bench and plays in the starting lineup for Milwaukee, I believe. I know he spent a majority of the time in the starting lineup this year. And then obviously Mataz Buzelli and Stefan Castle, the 2 rooks, taking the chance, guys. Now, my prediction, I hate to say it, but I don't see any of these guys hanging around with Mac McClung.
That's why he's here.
It's why he's here. I'm
the
sorry.
NBA mascot.
He's their dunk contest. Oh shoot, let's just put Mac again. Talk about lazy. You're gonna call up the guy from the G League to do the dunk con. I mean, think about this for a second. I'm sorry, and I don't want to spend time bashing on this because we've already bashed it so much. But the dunk contest is this is your home run derby. This is your big event, right? Some people literally don't watch anything. They only turn the TV on to watch the slam dunk contest, and your highlight player is a G Leaguer. It's like, oh yeah, look at this, the slam dunk contest. Here's a G Leaguer. I just think it's so pathetic. I think it's, Mac, this is nothing against you, right? You're a great dunker, but you are in the G League. You're not an NBA superstar. You are not in the same breath of guys like Dominique, of Vince Carter, of Michael Jordan. I mean, of Aaron Gordon, Zach LaVine, Dwight Howard. I mean, oh my God, you have some, I mean, Jason Richard, I've mentioned them, and here we are. Derrick Jones Jr. is another one, right? Where it's like, okay, that type of guy, right? He's a dunker in the NBA. He's made a name for himself. 120-20.
It's funny, he's the original Mac McClung, though. They tried to bring Derrick Jones Jr. out of the G League, what was it, almost a decade ago now, which he, of course, turned into an NBA player, but his really first NBA appearance was in the dunk contest. He was playing with the Northern Arizona Suns, then he came out in the dunk contest, and that was basically their first Mac McClung run
Right.
with Derrick Jones Jr. long ago. But of course, he
It's
made
just so bad.
his name
It's
in the
so
NBA. It is. It's so ridiculous because you mentioned all the names in the past with the dunk contest. They didn't have to be star names. This is where I'm looking at it going. It doesn't have to be all stars. It doesn't have to be LeBron James. It doesn't have to be Michael Jordan out there. It just has to be players we know. It literally has to be players like role players we know. Where there are plenty of them out there who play within 8-man rotations across the NBA or 9 or 10 or whatever you want to call it that we know. I mean, really, the one player that everybody is starting to know at this point in this dunk contest is Stephon Castle. But that's because he played on UConn last year, and that was a popular college team, which that actually has something to do with NBA ratings as well. The college game not really being recognizable every year at this point in time. But Stephon Castle on a recognizable college team last year in UConn comes into the NBA, starts performing in the NBA, kind of, Rising Stars MVP obviously last night too. And he's that player that people actually know, but still, he is a rookie. Matas Buzelis, I mean, he's becoming kind of a poster child of All-Star Weekend because they had him in the Rising. Remember last year they had like the G League Ignite Rising Stars out of the G League. What is this obsession with playing G League players at All-Star Weekend? I understand you want to showcase some of these guys, but the whole point of All-Star Weekend is it's the NBA All-Star Weekend. The NBA, not the NBA G League All-Star Weekend. It's not. It's really not. It's for the pageantry of the players who are playing in the 82 game season, not the G League. But ultimately, Buzelis, he was in the Rising Stars last year. He was in the Rising Stars this year, which is fine. He's a rookie. And last year actually had the game-winning shot in the Rising Stars tournament, so I give him that. But now he's in the dunk contest. Buzelis, I look at some of his dunks and I go, he's not. I'm not looking at him as a high flyer. And honestly, like I look at him in terms of the Chicago Bulls rotation, it's not like he plays a ton. So I would
He
say that
probably weighs less than me.
guys don't really know who he is. People out there don't really know who Buzelis is. And then you go down further, Andre Jackson Jr. I mean, come on, he plays on. I wouldn't say one of the most popular teams in the NBA. I would say it's a team with one of the more popular players in Giannis, which does draw some eyeballs into the Milwaukee Bucks. But that's a player who plays next to Giannis, and people still don't know who he is. I mean, look at LeBron. I mean, I understand he's on the Lakers, one of the more popular teams, but it's like there are random role players on the Lakers everybody knows just because they're getting clowned online because they're on the same team with LeBron. Well, Andre Jackson Jr. can't even get into the conversation even when he's on a team with Giannis. So the players in this tournament, you have two rookies, a guy that really nobody knows, no disrespect to Andre Jackson Jr., and then you have Mac McClung, who, like you said, Rob, this is a G League player. I mean, this is kind of, again, this is the home run derby to the NBA's All-Star Weekend here. This is a big contest. I mean, it's really, you look at the order of the contest, right? Skills challenge, 3-point contest, and what's the third one? What's the really take it all home, put the cherry on top? It is the slam dunk contest. And this is the lineup we're bringing out with Mac McClung. The best player in the dunk contest is going to be a G Leaguer. I mean, it to me, I 100% agree. It's lazy, it's ridiculous, and if you have to bring a player out of the G League to go and be in the dunk contest, why don't you just find guys off the streets? Remember what was the Dunk King years ago? It was on TNT after the playoffs. You had guys like Jordan Kilgannon. You had all these internet dunkers. Why don't you just bring in the internet dunkers? Because that's what Mac McClung is. I mean, he was an internet dunker who went to college with Georgetown. Now he's in the G League, and he's not too terrible of a player. He definitely has some skill out there, but he's specifically at this All-Star weekend to be in the dunk contest. And it really it's really just extremely lazy by the NBA. And it doesn't make any sense that the top guy in the dunk contest is actually somebody who doesn't play in the NBA whatsoever, no NBA minutes. And that just there's too many good players out there. You don't to me, a lot of guys in the NBA are 6'6" and above. They can dunk the basketball. Do they have to be the most high flying player in the world? No. Do they have to be a player who has the most dunks on the season? No. Let's just get the role players in this contest in which we know and have them go out there and compete, because sometimes you might come up with guys like Zach LaVine and Aaron Gordon who really put on a show. Nobody expected them to go out there and do what they did in 2015 and 2016, or Zach LaVine winning in 2015, Zach LaVine winning again in 2016, but a much harder competition against Aaron Gordon, one of the best of all time. That dunk contest, I watched it the other night. NBA has that 24-hour live stream going. Seriously, the most off the chain dunk
It was
contest we've
insane.
ever seen. We need to get back to that. And the NBA is not going to do it with this lineup. I think maybe potentially. Yes, I'll say this too with this lineup. Mac McClung is such a good dunker that we're not even giving any of these other guys a chance. We're not coming in here and saying, "Oh, Stephon Castle has a chance," or Andre Jackson Jr. has a chance. I will say, if there's one player who I think could maybe challenge Mac McClung a little bit, is Stephon Castle. But it's Mac McClung's tournament to lose. Or again, I'm on this tournament. It's the contest. It's the slam dunk contest. They don't even call it the contest. That's another thing I'm confused about. They just call it slam dunk. Like, what are we? What? The 2025 NBA slam dunk contest. Like, put the contest in there, NBA. It makes no sense. Put it in your copyright. But ultimately, you have to pick Mac McClung for this contest because that's why he's here. I mean, that's another issue with this whole contest is the fact that all these other guys were not even giving a chance to go out there and compete because there's one guy specifically here from the G League to win the whole thing. So why would we think any of these other guys are actually going to go out there and win it? So yeah, give me Mac McClung, third straight year, 3-time dunk champion, and this one should just be a no-brainer. I mean, Franco, you got something else here? Buzelis.
Franco, Andre Jackson Jr.
Give me Andre Jackson Jr. With the fate of the earth on the line. Man, Mac McClung being in this and winning it 3 times in a row is kind of disrespectful towards the NBA because that's going to be something that's a very respected and something that he's going to be able to hold his name in history of the NBA as a 3-time NBA dunk champion, even though he's only played 1 game in the NBA this season. I was very curious to see what his stats are. He's having a pretty good season right now for the Orlando G League team. He's averaging 17 points a game, but we have JD Davison who's doing the same stuff down in the G League. So he's the G League getting removed away from being the Celtics flight team during the commercial breaks. He's doing some good work, but it's just really a shame that the NBA can't draw in big names. Jaylen Brown taking the chance of being a dunk contest competitor last year was a great sign for the NBA, and I thought they were going to be able to turn the corner using that. I think he's a player that could have really brought the slam dunk contest back into popularity, being able to have names that are just recognizable on the back of jerseys. You're going to be able to see them on a given night. Let's say you're watching the Orlando Magic or the Milwaukee Bucks. You're going to see them out on the court for around 15 to 20 minutes. You know that they're going to be able to contribute in other ways, and they're they're very skilled at dunking in game, and you know that they're threats to thrash the paint. I would like to do a quick, if we wanted to, see if we could find who we would want in the NBA dunk contest outside of Mac McClung and Andre Jackson Jr. Who would we want to put together for that list? I would love to see
Javonte Green.
Javonte Green, or even if the NBA wanted to get a little more star-studded, the NBA has been clamoring to see a Ja Morant, Anthony Edwards compete in the All-Star game, and if it was 10 years ago, I feel like that wouldn't even be a question if Ja Morant or Anthony Edwards would compete in it because of the fact that the NBA dunk contest was such a sought after thing to be a part of. It was an honor to be invited to be a part of it. And it took a lot of dedication, not just some recreational dunk videos that you posted on Instagram.
Let's
But
also wait. I want to add to this the invitation thing. Why do guys they go, oh well, it's taking away from my practice time. I got to go practice on the dunk contest, and this takes away extra time for me to practice on the game of basketball, or takes away from my stamina and my legs. Get over it. It's the dunk contest. Go out there and dunk. Come up with 10 dunks in your mind. Go out there. You don't even have to practice them. Just come up with them in your mind and go, I'm going to try to execute this. I know I've done this in high school and college and an NBA game before. Go out there and dunk. I mean, seriously, the Zach LaVine, Aaron Gordon dunk contest, to me, there weren't that something that sticks out to me about that dunk contest, other than the whole mascot on the hoverboard thing, which is really not that crazy of a thing. There weren't that many what do you call it, like aesthetic ridiculousness, right? Like where guys have to come out with a bunch of random stuff on, or have a bunch of guys lined up somewhere, whatever, practicing whatever. They were pure dunks. They were all pure dunks. I mean, there wasn't a bunch of hoopla surrounding all of their dunks. They were all just pure dunks. Go out there and dunk the ball. That's why this whole thing, I think it used to be a prestigious thing, and now it's, oh, we don't want to do it because we don't want to practice for it. It's like, don't practice for it. Don't practice. Go out there and dunk the ball. Like, guys totally overthink this contest, and it's ridiculous. But yeah, Franco, we were talking about who you wanted in the dunk contest. Maybe I'm just saying, could we get Javonte Green out there? You know what's kind of crazy? Looking at the list of NBA players, there's not like a ton of high flying dunkers out there. Anthony Simons, maybe
Jonathan
he might have been in the
Kuminga.
Kuminga out there. You could say, I mean, yeah,
Malik
there's
Monk.
Benedict Mathurin, I would say. Shaden Sharp. These guys actually might have been, some of them, in the dunk contest already. But yeah, I
Sharp
mean,
was
just
last year.
looking at some of the names, bring Shaden Sharp back out, because I'm telling you, I mean, he's a tremendous dunker. I Yeah, Miles Bridges, how about him? I know we're probably not gonna want to put him on a pedestal, but Miles Bridges out there, Amin Thompson. I mean, come on, he's at All-Star Weekend. He's rising stars. Yeah, Stephon Castle, he's out there already, of course. But yeah, those are some of the names. Just kind of looking at all the NBA guys right now. PJ Washington, I know
No,
he's
they have
actually
dude,
injured.
they have a whole pool of 360 players that they can pick from. So here's my thing, right?
Yeah.
This is my problem, right? And Seamus, you said this. So before we talk about the All-Star game, I want to say this. Can you name a dunk Mac McClung's done now in the past 2 years that's like, oh my God, wow? Like, no, you can't, right? And so it's like, yes, sure, he's a good dunker, but it's just look at the field he's going against, right? It's like it's all just mediocrity. So it's like, okay, if Mac McClung's doing it right, like fill the pool. If Mac McClung's beating this pool of good dunkers, and it's like, okay, that makes sense. But it's like he's not. And you alluded to in 2016, what made that dunk contest great, right? Was that there were two dunkers going back and forth, right? Like, sure, because really at this point, you gotta look at the dunk contest, and so many dunks have been done, and it's getting a little repetitive, right? So what you need two guys who are getting 50, like back and forth and back. Like, that's what you got to try to do. All right. I know it's a tough task if you're the NBA, right? But you have to at least try to do that. And I'm sorry, but Andre Jackson Jr. and Mac McClung and Matas Buzelli and Stephon Castle, there's no fan engagement there, right? There is, right? Because if you're not a Spurs fan, a Bulls fan, a Mac McClung fan, or a Bucks fan, you really don't care, right? Like, at the end of the day, I really don't care about this dunk contest, right? Why should I, right? There is no All-Star. There is no like fun. Like, it's just bad. It's a bad pool of players. You're wasting, like, you're just using Mac McClung to be like, okay, worst case, this guy will be just good enough to have maybe one dunk that gets a 50, and it will be enough. So it's just messy. It's bad. I mean, God, you have a whole pool of 360 players in the NBA, and you're pulling from the G League. I mean, again, that high-rise office in New York is crap in the bed. Let's talk about the NBA All-Star game, though.
Can I say one more thing on
Slam
dunk contest?
Yeah.
I think one thing that Seamus alluded to is I miss the showmanship. I think that really added another level to it. And as Justin always said, we always need characters in the NBA. And
Right.
the NBA All-Star Weekend is the best time to display those. And especially during the dunk contest, and you have a superstar who is capable of doing remarkable things. I'm thinking back on Dwight Howard running into a setup prop telephone booth,
Right.
changing from Clark Kent into Superman, and then trying to dunk from the free throw line. You have Blake Griffin bringing out a whole damn church
Yeah.
choir,
Yeah.
singing "I Believe I Can Fly" as I dunk over Kia. Like that is the stuff
Gerald
that
Green blowing out the candle, right?
Oh, I watched that last night. That was very
Oh my
impressive. That
God.
was crazy.
I
That
mean,
was
like they
insane.
got creative. Oh my God. You're so right. You're so right, Franco. Oh my, and Aaron Gordon bringing out the math. I mean, odds. What are the odds that somebody jumps over Shaq this year? Because I think that's just the go-to. Oh, I need a creative dunk. Shaq, get out here. It's like, it's so bad. I mean, it is truly, they have reached a new low, I think.
Taco Fall. Aaron Gordon dunked over
Yes.
Taco Fall.
Oh,
Somehow
it's like,
lost the contest after doing
yeah,
that.
Dwayne
So
Wade, he picked the Heat guy. That was rigged. I'm sorry, Dwayne,
Derek
but
Jones Jr. But I'll say two other people gave Derek Jones Jr. a 9. So
yeah,
I
that's
don't know
true.
what was going on with the judging panel there. But I mean, dunking over Taco Fall. Those honestly, I'll say this about the dunk contest. It doesn't even matter who wins. It's about having memorable moments. And your
Yes,
point,
get
Rob, about Mac
creative.
McClung, I don't care that he won all these dunk contests. We don't actually have a memorable moment from
Right.
any of the dunk contests he's been in thus far, which is the last two. We don't really have that moment where it's like, whoa, Mac McClung just did this dunk. I mean, one of his best dunks is, like you mentioned, jumping over Shaq. Jumping
Yeah.
over Shaq.
Which
Great.
everyone
I
does.
mean,
Everyone jumps over Shaq now. It's like it's stop it. It's ridiculous. We get
maybe
it.
that's why they made him a judge this year. It'll be Shaq will
They're
be a
gonna bring him out.
judge.
I guarantee you someone brings out Shaq. I will put the house down on it.
I mean, we just need memorable moments. It doesn't matter who wins.
Yes.
We need memorable moments from guys who are actually in the NBA. I mean,
Yes.
it's very simple. Like all of what we're talking about, this should be a theme for this live stream. Simple solutions to All-Star Weekend in which are really just online with the traditional formats in which we've seen in the past. And now it's like, we need to get a random G Leaguer in the dunk contest with these random role players absolutely nobody knows about, even though we have a pool of 400 players to pick from that everybody knows from. And
Get
ultimately,
creative.
just in anything else, the tournaments, the Rising Stars and the All-Star game. Stop it, NBA. Stop it. You're not doing. I don't know who Adam Silver is listening to right now, but they should be fired. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I'm
they
not an
should.
advocate for anybody being fired, but these people need to be fired. I mean, they're being paid. They're being paid to throw out these ideas, and people hate them.
Yeah.
How are you doing your job?
And Franco, you're so right. Bring a sense of showmanship. Get the fans up, right? Get the arena pumped. Right? You saw so many times when that car rolled out, everyone stood up. Right? When that mascot started spinning, everyone stood up. When that candle and that cupcake it gets the crowd pumped, and
Oladipo bringing out Chadwick Boseman. That was
yeah. Oh my!
What about Oladipo singing in
yeah,
2015? He came out. He was just singing. I mean, that was great. He came out. Or Aaron Gordon came out in a tux in
bring
2016.
back Victor Oladipo in general.
Yeah, I mean, God, it was just. I mean, again, it's they're gotten lazy. Also, I mean, like the All-Star game. I'm sorry, has gotten lazy. Let's take a look at the All-Star game, guys, and the three teams. Seamus, you mentioned it earlier. There's kind of a theme for these Team Chuck, kind of Team International. You got Giannis, Shai, Jokic, Mitchell, Sengun, Siakam, Towns, and Wembanyama. Now, I don't know if this was discussed beforehand, but something tells me they kind of they were like, okay, let's get some themes going here. Team Kenny is like the up and coming rising stars almost of the All-Star game. You got Jalen Brunson, Cade Cunningham, Anthony Edwards, Darius Garland, Tyler Hero, first-time All-Star, Jaren Jackson, also a first-time All-Star, Evan Mobley, Jalen Williams, both also as well first-time All-Stars. And then Team Shaq is kind of team, past/present. Jaylen Brown, Steph Curry, Anthony Davis, Kevin Durant, James Harden, LeBron James, Damian Lillard, and Jason Tatum, two of Boston's own, obviously competing on Team Shaq. Now, guys, obviously there's going to be some confusion here, honestly, myself included, on the new workings of this All-Star game format with the four teams. Obviously, you're going to have Team C competing from the Rising Stars Challenge in this tournament. So let's take a look at the All-Star game matchups. Now, semifinal game 1, you're going to have Chuck Global Stars, which is the Shy-led team with Jokic, going against Kenny's Young Stars, which is the Brunson and Cade-led team. Now, on the opposite end of the bracket, you're going to have the second semifinal game, which is the Shaq's OGs, led by Brown and Tatum, against the Candace Parker Rising Stars. That is obviously going to be Team C. Now, the winner of semifinal game 1 and semifinal game 2 will face off in the championship. Now, both of these games, I want to say, are to 42 points. Am I mistaken on that?
I believe it's to 40, maybe.
To 40?
I'm not. See, this is again where we're going to highlight this. We don't even know what the point
Yeah.
total is supposed to be for the target score out here. We don't even know what they're playing to. It's like, just
Right.
bring back the clock, folks. Just bring back the clock. We don't need this target score nonsense. We're not playing at the YMCA right now. We're playing in the NBA, I guess, All-Star Tournament, which is just
It's yes. So
the All-Star Game tournament, by the way. It's the All-Star Game tournament.
Yeah, it's just bad. I mean, God. Honestly, also, if you want to know this, the NHL tried this; it didn't work out. So, let's make our predictions. Before we do that, though, I want to something I am going to give credit to the NBA for, guys, are the new threads that the teams are rocking. Let's pull those up real quick. I mean, these are clean. I'm not gonna lie. After I liked last year's, they had the pinstripes. I mean, you got that baby blue, you got the red. I'm not a big fan of the dark blue. I don't think it's bad. I just, when you got the red and the baby blue, I mean, those are clean. Those are nice. We're gonna get we're gonna look back on these, and then also take a look at this court. Court's nice. I mean, they did a good job on terms of the graphic designing on the All-Star game. If I can give them props on anything, guys, let's make our predictions though. For this All-Star game. Again, I actually am going to pull these up again, so you just take a second look at it. Obviously, Team Chuck, International, Team Kenny, Team OG, and then Team Shaq, Team Past/Present. Guys, now, for me, maybe this is a common trend. I actually really like the theme kind of based, right? I like how there's a little bit of theme going around. Team International, I think, is the team I'm going to look away from least. I see a lot of guys on that team that have a tendency to not really care, Jokic in particular, but also on the flip side, you got Giannis, who usually cares and, brings it. So I think that team's intriguing.
Let's make a note real quick.
Yeah.
Trae Young will be replacing Giannis on that team because Giannis is injured right
Giannis
now.
is injured. Giannis is missing.
That's going to be a big one.
So,
because he's actually somebody, because you're right. He's somebody who cares.
Yep. Okay.
And it's like, that'd be the one player who cares.
I'm officially pushing them off.
Is replacing Anthony Davis on the OGs team.
On the OGs.
Kyrie
okay. So
AD.
I'm officially pushing off the international team. I don't think they're going to stand a chance. I'm going to go OG in present. Won't lie, biased included, Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. But I also I think there's a theme right now, and I think it's LeBron James, Steph Curry, they're gonna win it. The whole Olympics. I'm picking the Team OG. I think it's the obvious pick.
I think it's gonna end up being Team OG just because of how built around. I feel like LeBron James was the one who picked this team out hand picked. I think they did a great job of I mean, he's got all of his guys. He's got Kyrie. He's got KD. So he's got Curry. So I think that just a standout, clear-cut favorite, and also probably the fan favorited team as well, just due to the fact of how well they're built, and it's more of just the comfort of the household names. That's the household name roster. If the international team or the global stars ended up showing up, that could make it a very interesting tournament. If with Giannis being out, it kind of throws a big curve in that. I think they're a team that could have really made some noise, been able to back up the fact that the NBA is trying to build that international market and really grow the NBA to a international level. The Young Stars are a very interesting team as well. I think they're not the best put together roster, but with time they're going to develop into something. You got a lot of things to look at with that team. You look at Cade Cunningham, Anthony Edwards, and Jaren Jackson Jr. are the names who probably stand out to me the most. But I'm looking at the way the rosters are kind of built and how the rotations are going to play out. I think the rotations that the Shaq team are going to be able to put out on the court are something that won't be matched by any of the other teams.
Yeah, the obvious pick is 100% the OG's team, Team Shaq, because first of all, picking against LeBron James in an all-star setting,
Right.
and really for the last years in any setting, has just been not a smart move. I mean, really, LeBron James, he's kind of that Kobe-esque player nowadays that actually gets up and competes for the All-Star game. And anytime his team is out there, you got to pick him. You got to pick him because LeBron James, he's somebody that gets his team up to play in these All-Star scenarios. He himself gets up to play. And just the OG squad, I think they're going to look across the board and go, first, also, let's just add in another complaint with this. So Team OG, right? So we got Brown and Tatum, we have LeBron, Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, James Harden, Kyrie Irving, really the legitimate OGs out there. They're playing the rising stars first.
Yeah.
I mean, what are we doing?
They're gonna
Look, they
smoke
might not.
'em.
If Wembanyama's team
Smoke
loses,
'em.
right? We're not going to see Wemby versus LeBron. We're not going to see Wemby versus Kevin Durant. We're not going to see Wemby versus Steph Curry, Brown, or Tatum. I mean, that's just a ridiculous thing right off the bat. I mean, come on. I mean, and you already mentioned it. We're going away from the international team, and ultimately, Wemby might not play any of the Team Shaq OGs, and that's something awesome to see about the All-Star game. That's what I noticed watching old All-Star games this week leading up to this weekend is those All-Star games with Kobe Bryant and Michael Jordan. 2003 was actually a competitive All-Star game from the standpoint of on one end you had Michael Jordan hit at the time it seemed like a game winner with 3 seconds left on the clock. On the other end of the floor, Kobe Bryant comes down, gets fouled on a three, makes 2 of the 3 free throws, goes into double overtime of that 2003 All-Star game. And that's like a little moment right there that people might not remember in history because it's not really brought up that often. But it's like, man, Kobe and Jordan were really against each other at that point in time. Kobe was the young gun in 2003, and Jordan, that was his last season in the NBA. Well, right now we're witnessing a 40-year-old LeBron, and we're witnessing Victor Wembanyama out there who's supposed to be kind of the next guard, the next generation in the NBA, and they might not even play each other in this tournament. They might not even play each other, and we're going to see LeBron's team play the Rising Stars. I mean, that is a huge problem to me. Huge problem the NBA has set for themselves.
Get started by Dalton Connect.
I mean, yeah, that just makes no sense. But I also think the OG team looks across the board and goes, Rising Stars team, miss me with this. We're gonna whoop them. Get out of here. We're more experienced, higher IQ players, more skill. We're gonna whoop them. And then across the board, I think they look at the young guard or Team International. No, you guys aren't winning this game. We're still here and we're still defending our kind of title as the best in the league. The one thing I'll say about the OGs is maybe they care less than some of these other teams, and maybe they're old. I'm just saying, like, old legs versus young legs. Sometimes that does tend to matter, but you have to go with the OGs out there on the floor because you can't pick against specifically LeBron James in this All-Star setting, and of course Brown and Tatum. We're normally a Celtics broadcast, so we can't pick against Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. I mean,
I'll admit it, full bias included. If Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown are, I'm sorry, I'm full bias. I'm not scared to admit it. But also like. I said it earlier. I'll say it again. I'm gonna pull back up this roster right real quick. So, guys, on each team, right, you have 8 players. Why not just have 6 players on each team, right, and have 4 all-star teams? Like,
yeah, okay, that's just what makes no sense, especially to 40. If you're playing to 40, why do we need 3 subs?
I was just about to say that. When you're only playing to 40, dude, I mean, half these guys you might see these guys on the floor for. I might turn on the game and see Jaylen Brown on the court or Jason Tatum on the court for 5 minutes. It's terrible. It was just terribly executed, and I agree. Like the rising, so awesome, right? So let's look at the positive because we haven't looked at the negative. What's the positive out of the tournament? Oh, great. You have more basketball, more games. You're seeing different players play right in different matchups, a tournament. Cool. That could be a cool aspect. But one of the games is a wash, right? Because the OGs aren't going to lose to the Rising Stars. And if they do, then the ratings plummet because no one's going to care anymore. But they won't lose. And it's like, okay, like I'm going to watch this being on my phone half the time, thinking to myself, this is a wash game, right? There's a free pass. Like it's a buy almost. And so it's like, okay, great. The whole appeal of the tournament is, look at this tournament style, all-stars, more games. You're seeing different players play, right? But one of the games is against the G League, essentially. Or, sorry, not the G League, but it's against the Rise. It's like, what are we doing? It's like you made something that could have been cool and fun, and you just like tanked it with this stupid, like, I don't know. Am I crazy?
But also, I'll mention this. Is it more basketball? Because if you're thinking about 4 quarters in the All-Star game, 12 minutes apiece, well, this is going to be 3 games to 40. It's like we're basically playing 3 quarters here of the All-Star game. Maybe with the team format and the tournament format, the NBPA, the Players Association, went in here and went, we actually want to play less basketball at the All-Star weekend and less run, but that's not what fans want to see. It's not what fans want to see. We want to see more basketball. We want to see an actual game. It's called the All-Star game. We're calling it the All-Star game tournament. I mean, it's I know where it's like looking kind of on the negative side again, but it just, that is the theme with the All-Star weekend, is they've completely botched this entire format everywhere across the board, and nobody out there thinks this is the right thing to do. I don't know who. I mean, casual fans, they don't know what's going on. How can they know? How can they know this is the right or wrong thing to do?
The casual fans doesn't want to watch Stephon Castle. Like, they don't even know who Stephon Castle like really is. The casual, just like tuning in fan, they don't know. And talk about ratings, you talk about the struggle in the NBA. It's like you are doing literally everything wrong in steering away from everything fans love in an attempt to drive your ratings up. Like, no, you're the one positive, guys. I'm sorry, the one positive, the jerseys. Jerseys are fire. I mean, straight like some of the best All-Star jerseys they've put out there, I think, in a decent amount of time. And like, that's the one thing I'm looking at this All-Star game. I'm like, at least I can go get myself a $150 Jason Tatum jersey. That's some heat.
Yeah, the All-Star game, like we were saying earlier, I think they could have either, you want to shorten the rosters down, I want to build them up a little bit more, and
right.
I didn't understand the point of it only being to 40 points. I thought that this tournament was going to be the scheduled games, 12 minutes, or even shortened down to 10. But if the teams there's some opportunities to be able to promote other players in the NBA, and these aren't the players that you really need to be promoting. I mean, you obviously have the rising stars who are going to be solid players in the next upcoming years, and it's not even guaranteed because you don't know if Ryan Dunn is going to continue the level of play that he's been having, or you look at a guy like Tracy Jackson Davis, you don't know if they're going to be contributing at the same level that they were, or even see the progress in 4 or 5 years.
Right, even if one of these guys, it's I'm sorry, it's so bad.
You're telling me Trace Jackson Davis on the Rising Stars team that made the tournament?
Yeah.
Is that?
You want me to read you the
Why
roster?
is Trace Jackson Davis
let's pull it up
on All-Star Sunday?
So we can pull it up. So Team C is the team that will be competing. That consists of Stephon Castle, like Franco said, Ryan Dunn, Zach Edey, Keontae George, Tyrese Jackson Davis, Dalton Connect, and then Jalen Wells. So, I mean, again, a good distribution of young talent in the NBA, right? We're not dissing these players as young rising stars, right? But Sunday in the NBA has traditionally, and rightfully so, belongs to the current all-stars. It is all-star. They are the all-stars. In my eyes, Franco and I agree with you, right? Like, these guys could turn out to be something. Odds are, like, a lot of these guys don't, is what history tells us. And it's a wash. It's a wash of a game. I mean, you had a great opportunity here, right? Because again, if this was the one thing turning me off of this, there's 2 things actually, but the one thing that's turning me off of this tournament, right? is the point cap, right? I don't think 40 points. I mean, in an all-star game, you can get 40 points in one quarter, right? So you assume, okay, say it's a 1 quarter's worth of basketball. That's 12, 24, 36. You're playing 3 quarters of basketball. That's a turnoff, right? And the other thing is the fact that the Rising Stars own a game, own a team. If there were 4 all-star teams playing one half of basketball each, right? Call it 10-minute quarters, 20 minutes each game, right? I'm sitting here thinking, oh, this could actually be kind of fun to watch, right? If they show up, it's new, right? I'm for it, right? I'm not going to bash it. I think it could work. But it's like, oh my God, you do a point total. That's going to, like Seamus, you said, it's probably going to be 12 to 15-minute games max. And then you throw in like, oh, boom, Rising Stars play the OGs. That's going to be just like, oh, it's lazy. It's bad. It's lazy and bad. Sorry, it is.
And what they should do with that approach, if they want to have the Rising Stars try to compete against the All-Star teams, don't just allow one of these teams to make it. I feel like they could have made an accumulated team of all the Rising Stars, the most talented ones who were displayed last night on Friday. If you had like a team with Victor Wembanyama and all, I'm trying to think of other.
We get the wrong Rising Stars. We want the All Stars.
Yeah.
Also, there's like 2 Rising Stars teams in the All-Star tournament. It's like you have the Young Stars and the Rising Stars. Like, what are we doing?
You got the Young Stars and the really Young Stars. Like, I don't know.
They're not even stars. I'm sorry. Ryan Dunn, Trace Jackson Davis, Jalen Wells. These guys aren't stars. They could turn out to be nice players in the league. Don't get me wrong, but I don't look at this team and go, whoa, these guys are going to be all-stars in a couple of years. I mean, Trace Jackson Davis, what is he in his 3rd year already? Like, or is it second year? Second year? Okay, second year.
You can't be past second year to be in this game.
Yeah, I mean, I look at that team and go, I'm just not, I'm not down with even the team who won. It's like, I don't, like, Stephon Castle is like, oh, Stephon Castle and Dalton Connect. It's like, everybody else. Like, oh, Zach Edey. Like,
put the Thompson twins in there. That's
well, it's also like, they don't, I'm sorry, this team doesn't belong on. It's like awesome, great. It's a great watch on Friday night where it gets the weekend started. You're seeing some of the young guys in the NBA compete, and they usually compete very well, right? It's not normally lazy. And it's awesome, great. I love that. Rising Stars, again, it's a tradition. Rising Stars is a tradition. You see those you got memories on the Rising Stars. Like I said, Deion Waiters, Kyrie, like there's some memories there. Wemby last year had a great Rising Stars, but it's like, you throw them in the All-Star game. It's like, what? It's like literally sounds like somebody, like we said, somebody is sitting at an office and they're like, wait, hear me out. They play on Sunday. Hear me out. They play on Sunday. And everyone was like, oh,
give this man a raise.
Yeah, I mean, it's lazy and bad, and it's a shame. You want my prediction? Here's a prediction. They're going to do it this year, and they're going to switch to something else next year. It's because that's what the All-Star Weekend is becoming. This is every year is different.
Well, it's the 75th anniversary. I would hope that they switch, like they just go back to
it's not 75 of the All-Star game?
Next year is.
Oh, like the All-Star Game 75th.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So, oh God. I mean, yeah, maybe that's it. Maybe they're just like, okay, and then next year we can be like East-West again. Woo! I don't know, man. I don't know.
Didn't they go East-West last year? They were like, we're bringing back the old format. Everybody's like, yes. And then this year they're like, all right, screw that. We're going tournament, Rising Stars. It was like, whoa, we just went totally traditional, and then we're going totally radical.
It's here. So bad. Man. And I'm sorry.
Another point on this too. All-Star game.
I want to apologize to the people watching. Also, I'm sorry for the bashing.
Right.
But it's like, I'm sorry. Maybe, and if you're a fan, and you're excited for this. God bless you. Right? Because I do think there are some things, and I've mentioned them. There's some things you can be excited for, but overall, I think, like Seamus said, we should have titled this "Simple Ways to Fix All-Star Weekend" because it's a little rough. It's a little rough.
All-Star Weekend, not so special.
yeah, I know. I think we titled this wrong. We got to fix the headline. All-Star Weekend's not special anymore. But yeah, I don't know.
It's terrible. I mean, the All-Star game, what's funny, we talk about the simple fixes, is they've already been implemented in the past. It's like, don't fix something that's not broken. It's like the ratings are broken because of everything that happens in the regular seasons, in, well, multiple seasons, but the regular season in general. It's the lack of household star faces that are not competing for a championship right now, who are specifically American born. It is about the rivalries. It's about the dynasties. There's just a lack of them across the board in the NBA right now. And ultimately, the next generation of dynasties, the household names, they're either young, they haven't done anything yet, or it's still developing. It's still developing, and we're just kind of in that period with the NBA, the NBA goes through those periods. We've already talked about this on past live streams, and right now we're just in that. And the NBA thinks, well, the competition in the All-Star weekend, we got to implement tournaments, we got to put everybody on different teams. Well, I mean, it's utterly ridiculous. I already made this point too about the All-Star teams in terms of the players playing each other. Like the OG team, it's just awesome to see the OG team play against the young guys, like in general, in East-West format. That might not happen this year. I mean, we're going to see the OG team play Dalton Connect, Trace Jackson Davis, Jalen Wells,
It's a
Zach
wash of a
Edey.
game. That's my point. It's a wash of a game. It's sort of like it's.
They're gonna be literally treating like a
Sorry,
Harlem
but
Globetrotters game.
I've
Look,
been on
I think like
Uh,
LeBron and Kyrie and Steph Curry are legitimately going to be laughing their asses off playing that game. And who knows, maybe the Rising Stars team puts in a little effort and makes LeBron and
yeah.
these guys put up their hands and be like, "Oh crap, we got to try for a second." But I think they're literally just going to be horsing around, just throwing the ball off the backboard to each other, trying to get Steph Curry to get a dunk during the All-Star game. It's not. It's
I
just,
hope, and I hope we're wrong. I really do. I hope we're so wrong. I hope we can look back on this, right, and say we put in our first post game show went Thursday. I want to say, and I hope we can come back here and be like, "Ha, we were wrong, guys. The NBA did a great job," but something tells me we might not be.
No, we are not gonna be say. I'm gonna make a. I'm gonna. Where's Justin's guarantee button? I'm gonna hit it right now. We're not gonna be saying that. I don't know. We're gonna look back on this and go 100%. I think we're gonna look back on this not just on Thursday, but in 10 years and go, what was that? What did we? What was that? That one weekend in 2025 where the NBA literally just went radical and crazy for a moment and just threw out anything. Like they were literally throwing spaghetti noodles at the wall trying to get them to stick. Like I don't know. I really the format. I don't. It's again with the NBA with a lot of things that go on in the NBA. Sometimes I go, and this has been a lot this past month with specific teams. I think we're gonna know which team I'm talking about when I say this. But who approved this? Who approved
That's what I'm
this?
saying. That's what I'm saying.
Who said, "Yep, you have my stamp of approval on this one"? I mean,
So
I
mad.
really, whoever did, it's like, do we need? I'm sorry, Adam Silver. If you're the final say, if you're the dictator here in the NBA, it's like, oh, somebody dig up the grave of David Stern, just bring him back, like please. I mean, it's getting to that point. Everybody hated David Stern, but it's like at least he didn't do this.
Yeah,
At
I
least he
know,
didn't do
bad.
this.
It's bad. But guys, I mean, again, we will see what happens. But
There's
thanks
one
for
more
joining
prediction
us.
I will say though.
Oh, yes,
One
yes.
more.
Go for it. Go
Yes.
for it.
One more.
100%.
We have the All-Star game MVP.
Oh, I'm sorry.
MVP.
I didn't know which one. Okay, thank God I didn't put. I thought they were
Looks the same. Looks the same.
It does. Okay, so this is good. I gotta wait. Give me a second. So if someone else who has theirs, go for it. I gotta think.
I'm okay. I've been thinking about this for most of the time with the name scrolling on the bottom. Well, Team OGs. We all picked Team OG. We picked Team
So it's gotta be
Shaq.
someone
So
from them.
right. So to me, it's like, okay, if we want to go bias, Brown and Tatum. I'm kind of like, I was like, oh, maybe Brown, because Brown is like the guy who like comes out there with an FU energy.
Right.
Tatum's won an All-Star MVP, I will say, but I think I have to go with the player that's playing in his home arena.
Okay. Yeah.
Steph Curry. And it's always somebody, I will say, the All-Star MVP is usually a bigger star. It's
Yeah.
usually not somebody who's down on the totem pole. It's one of those bigger star names. I think Steph Curry, home arena, hasn't been shooting as well as he has been this season as past seasons or his entire career, but Steph Curry in his home arena for this All-Star game, I think he's going to come out. I think he's going to shoot as many times as humanly possible, and I think he has the most potential to rack up the points in this situation, especially on this team. Because I think other guys, I look at Brown and Tatum, I go, how much playing time are they going to get with LeBron and Kevin Durant on the team? We already saw this in the Olympics where it was, Durant, LeBron, put him out there. Brown's not even on the team. Tatum's on the bench. So it's like, are we going to see that again play out? Another guy I thought was maybe Damian Lillard, but I think Steph Curry I think this is his setting for this specific All-Star game. And I think he won the All-Star game MVP in Cleveland. So, Steph Curry, we've seen him win a finals before in Cleveland, finals in Golden State. Maybe this is his time to win an All-Star game MVP in Cleveland and an All-Star game MVP at the San Francisco Chase Center Bay Area, not the Oracle Arena anymore, where he won his past championships, but in Oakland, not in Oakland, California.
I have a question. Do coaches still get recognized are coaches still getting invited to the All-Star games, or are they just having?
Yeah, they're getting.
Okay.
Wait, no, I don't know.
Like Shaq is
I think Shaq is on the bench. Yeah.
Really?
But again, you go back to our point. We don't know. We couldn't tell you.
So no coaches are getting any recognition during All-Star break.
Well, no, that's not. No, they are appointing. They appointed. I believe the. I'm blanking on his name. Oh my god. Dagnall for the West, and then for the East, it's Quinn Snyder of Cleveland, I believe, or not Quinn Snyder.
Kenny Atkinson.
So
they just did best records, I guess.
But that's normally what it is. It's usually the 1 seed coaches. So, yeah.
It's funny in the past we've had like the 1 seed kind of be up and down at the time of the All-Star break, and it's like, oh man, the one game before All-Star break, somebody else is the 1 seed, and then the coaching staff is like, oh, we don't get to go to Aruba anymore. We have to go to Toronto for the All-Star game.
For my All-Star game prediction, I love the Steph pick. I do. Homer. I kind of follows my Buddy Hield trend. Home arena guy. I could see it. I really like Dame because didn't Dame win it last year though?
I feel like he has an All-Star game MVP.
Yeah, I believe Dame won it last
over
year.
And over again. It's like
he is, and obviously Tatum and Brown. Tatum already has one. I could see Brown doing it, but again, I don't know how much time he's going to get. Could Durant do it? LeBron. So I'm going to join
LeBron's
you, Seamus.
Gonna pull back a little bit.
Yeah,
I think he's going to try, but he's going to be more of a playmaker, not a pure scorer. Like he's going to dunk the ball and go crazy from that perspective.
I'm going to join you on Steph Curry. I think Curry does. In home arena, I think he's going to get a lot of shots up. I think it's LeBron, Durant, and Curry show. And I'm going to go Steph. I like that pick. I like that pick a lot, actually.
So I have to be the Celtics guy.
Do it. Hey, there's got to be one. There's got to be one. Yeah, come on, do it. No shame in it either. I was close to doing it. Yeah, there it is. There it is.
I think it's time. This is a great opportunity for Jason Tatum to get the torch passed down to him with these OG players he's playing along with. If he is able to outshine LeBron, Kevin Durant, Steph Curry in a national televised All-Star game, and you see Jason Tatum getting the looks that he should have been receiving during the Team USA run, because you look at this roster that he's playing on, what is it? I think almost all of them were on the Team USA roster, except for Damian Lillard and Harden, I believe.
Right.
Everyone else.
Kyrie will be replacing Davis, obviously, as mentioned by Seamus.
Yeah, so these guys all were a part of that Team USA roster where he was shelled off. He was not able to get the minutes that he deserved or get the minutes that he should have received during that run. So I think that it's a great opportunity for Jason Tatum to show out and have a huge performance during the All-Star game and really get some more respect and put that prowess amongst his name and really try to stick his name amongst the OGs and be that transition into the next level of All-Stars.
And I'll say this, AD not playing opens up probably the Tatum playing the big man area. So Tatum could get a lot of run on this team.
I'm going to mention this too, Franco. You kind of alluded to it just now, but one thing that needs to be mentioned with these all-star teams, or with specifically how they're arranged, Brown and Tatum, they're getting that respect right now from the league. They're 100% getting that respect. I
They're
mean,
getting called
obviously,
OGs.
I mean, yeah, they have a championship under their belt. Now they're on the OG All-Star team, and they've been past All-Stars. You see the young All-Star team. I mean, really, the two other arrangements they don't really fit into. It's the international guys, Brown and Tatum,
Right.
both American, and which is actually weird. Internationally, we have a couple of Americans on that
Right.
squad. Maybe that international plus one American, two Americans. One's an injury replacement, though. I will say Trae Young. But the other team is the younger guys, and those are more of the first time all-stars, second time real young players. So Brown and Tatum don't fit into that category. Now we're looking at them, they're defending champions. I mean, out of everybody here, they're the two guys who have rings on their finger from last season, from last year,
Right.
and they're on the OG team. I mean, that's definitely a lot of respect to Brown and Tatum, and it's very crazy to see how far they've come from. We were watching them in the Rising Stars game in Los Angeles a couple of years ago, wearing unfortunately the Minneapolis Lakers colors, which
Yeah.
was just horrendous when they were there at the Rising Stars game together. But they were at the Rising Stars game. It just felt like a couple of years ago. And now all of a sudden they're on Team OG's, Team Shaq with LeBron James, Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, James Harden, all of the guys that we actually consider the real OGs of this game. Kyrie Irving as well, Damian Lillard, the real OGs of this game, and Brown and Tatum. They're laced onto that roster with everybody else. That is a huge nod and some respect to Brown and Tatum there for sure. And that's where I think Brown and Tatum, maybe we think about this like, oh, are they going to get the minutes? Oh, Brown didn't make the Olympic team. Tatum,
They're going to get minutes.
skimp
They're gonna
minutes. It's like defending champions. They know they've been disrespected in the past. I know this is about ratings ultimately at the end of the day, so they're going to try to present the LeBron, Curry, Durant. That's really the big three on this team in terms of the biggest eyeball drawers, right? Is LeBron, Curry, and Durant. But at the same time, I look at it and go, well, Tatum and Brown, they're actually the youngest player. They're the youngest OGs on this team. And right now, they're actually trying to build a legacy for themselves, because kind of going back on a Celtics point, even though we're not on a post-game show right now, is the Celtics team is trying to go back to back. And at this point in time, it could be a season in which the Celtics go back to back, start forming that dynasty narrative a little bit. And we all know that does take a while to actually form. And over the years, Brown and Tatum, they could be the Currys, the LeBrons, the Durants in the future, because they're in a big enough market with a historic team, and they have a historic opportunity in front of them as well in terms of potentially going back to back with the Boston Celtics this year. I mean, if you do that, you're in the same conversation as guys like Bill Russell and Larry Bird, and
Right.
unfortunately, Paul Pierce, Kevin Garnett, Ray Allen, Rajon Rondo, they were never able to go back to back. But I mean, they made two finals, and they won one of them, almost won another. Game 7, Kendrick Perkins didn't play, unfortunately. That one still just hurts from back then. But
If
yeah,
KG
Brown
doesn't
and
get
Tatum
hurt in
definitely.
09, they go back to back.
Yeah, and then Kevin Garnett hurt, of course, as you mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
But Brown and Tatum, it's just a lot of respect for Brown and Tatum on this particular All-Star weekend, regardless of that's what also actually gets me about this format is like Brown and Tatum. We're going through, we're going through history with them right now, and they have to play the Rising Stars. Like I want to see him play Wembanyama. I want to see him play Jokic. Like I don't want to see him play Dalton Connect out there.
Right.
Like I hope Dalton Connect is a future All-Star, because if he's not, I mean, Brown and Tatum, these are the guys, the OGs, and they're going to just be playing the Rising Stars. Keep going back on that point. So gotta get off of it, because my goodness, that's been the theme. Like, yes, we do want to apologize to everybody, because
we do.
Most of this special has just been bashing the format. But that's what it needed to be for, because oh my goodness.
Hopefully Adam
the format
Silver
is just that is the theme. It's been terrible. It's been absolutely terrible.
It has. And hopefully Adam Silver stumbles on this, because honestly there are some changes that need to happen. Right. And maybe we'll change the headline to the simple fixes to All-Star Weekend. But guys, again, thank you for joining in, watching this live stream special, this All-Star Weekend special. Again, we'll have you back at the end of All-Star break for the Celtics versus Sixers on the return of the second half of the NBA season. Celtics, on a Celtics standpoint, they're looking to get things back, so it'll be exciting. They obviously entered the All-Star break hot. We're going to get to see Brown and Tatum Sunday night compete in the All-Star game. And guys, again, if you're not subscribed, hit that subscribe button. Turn on post notifications as well. And guys, I heard this thing. I don't know if it's true, but if you mention the like button, it glows up in the comments. So as well, we appreciate the support. If you can throw down that like. And again, guys, you've been crushing it on the support, and hopefully we've been crushing it on our end. So again, super excited for the next time we're going to be seeing you guys is the second half of what hopefully is another Celtics title run on a back-to-back push, guys. Again, thank you so much. Cue the music. I know it's the All-Star Game special. Yeah, it might not deserve it, but cue the music, guys. Thank you.